Thank you so much. It appears as if we're all ready. So at this time, we're going to call the Town of Mangonia Park regular town council meeting of April 20th, 2021 into session. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alberry.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
I'm here.
Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
And Councilmember Smith.
Thank you so much. At this time, let us stand for our invocation, please. Dear most kind and gracious Father, we thank you again for the day that you've given us and all of the blessings that we've experienced thus far. We thank you so much for all of the grace that you shed upon us and allow us to be able to come and to make decisions on those that we have been elected to serve. We ask that all decisions that we make be pleasing to thee. And we take a moment, Father, to thank you so much for all of the life-giving that you have given us. We pray for all of those that have succumbed, the families that are dealing with the devastation of the COVID-19 or the coronavirus. We pray that you would just put an end to it so that we can all get back to normal and to live harmoniously. And we thank you for the peace that transcends any societal ills and norms. We thank you so much because we know that it is that thing that binds us all together as a society. And so we thank you for all that you've done and all that you will do. For this we pray. Amen and amen. A pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. Okay, we do have our agenda in front of us, and for those who are with us online, feel free to follow, and for those who are here, we would ask that you would just take a copy so that you can follow along with us as well. So we have all of those items that are listed on the agenda. We have items that are annotated with an asterisk. That would mean that that is, of course, being considered for our consent agenda. So with that, we have items 2A. I'm sorry, just before we begin, I felt to just take a moment of privilege, and we will just have a moment of silence for all of those who have succumbed to the coronavirus, and for the peace that we're going to be having and experiencing and will continue in light of a decision that was made just a moment ago. As well as, and my apologies also to include the family of Representative Alcee Hastings as well. Thank you. At this time, we'll continue attending to our agenda. We do have those items that are annotated with an asterisk. We have items 2A, which is minutes of the regular town council meeting of April 6, 2021. And those are the items that we have thus far. Are there any other items to be considered for the consent agenda? Any other items to be considered or removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, so move that we approve the agenda as read.
Thank you so much. A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved in second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. Our next item, of course, is approval of our agenda. We have the items that we have before us. Are there any additional items to be added or any items to be tabled? Okay. Hearing none. Motion to approve agenda as submitted. Motion, please. Motion has been made to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Has been properly moved in second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. It is carried. Thanks so much. We'll continue on our agenda. Our next item is item 4, proclamation presentations. We have none there. So we're going to go to item 5, Palm Beach County League of Cities meeting.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick reminder, the general membership meeting for the league is next week on April 28th, 2021. It's online again. As I hope was communicated through the manager's office, the title of the presentation is what you need to know about filling out your required Form 1. That's your financial disclosure form. That'll be the presentation given by Robert Myers of a law firm. So that's the only update I wanted to give you. That's next Wednesday at noon. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. Are there any questions or comments for our meeting? Thank you so much. We'll move on our agenda. Our next item to be attended to is item 7A, and this is discussion of the approval of a letter of agreement between the Town of Mangonia Park and Rob A. Major for the provision of additional code enforcement services. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, this item was in front of you at our previous meeting on April 6th. The previous candidate, Mr. Nick Berry, that you had approved, has declined the offer, very friendly-like, and wishes his best for the town. The gentleman that we're putting in front of you tonight for consideration is Mr. Rob Major. He's a longtime veteran of the Town of Palm Beach Fire Department as a fire inspector. The clerk and I had an in-depth conversation with him this past Thursday, and I feel like he would do well. We also took a long ride throughout town and looked at some things, and in particular the industrial areas, but residential as well. So he got a pretty good indication of what we were going to be expecting of him. So the total expense at $25 per hour, between 10 to 15 hours per week, would be $7,500, and that would go through the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. And staff does recommend his appointment.
Thank you so much. So at this time, if there are any questions or comments?
Yes, my question to the manager, what is the background in Palm Beach? County or Palm Beach Fire Department, first and foremost?
I apologize. Broward
Sorry, I
County.
heard Palm Beach, okay, so.
I know as we were discussing, he talked about Palm Beach a little bit. So anyway, his background is a fire inspector for Broward County.
Okay, my second question. If you're stating that the recommendations are high from the staff, you want to elaborate a little bit more on why the recommendations are high?
Yes, sir. Typically, people that are in the fire inspection or firefighting, they turn out to be very good code enforcement officers because they have to know the fire code. And because of that, they easily transition into like a town code of ordinances. So just based on that alone and his interest in it, I think he would do well. Very intelligent, seasoned individual. Not to say that he's old, but he's seasoned. He has experience behind him.
And I'm going to backtrack since we're having this conversation. When we had much discussion at the last council meeting around is the money of the salary, calls was guaranteed money from the grant program, correct? I don't impression.
Great point. Yes, just as a reminder, this is being paid for through the county CDBG funding. No expense to the town.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
What was that dollar amount?
$7,500.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Vice Mayor?
Just wanted to know, is there certifications required to do the code enforcement position, or if he has necessary certifications?
He has his fire inspector certifications, and the way our code is structured, town council can appoint anyone to that position. So he does have certifications, not particularly code enforcement.
But he's aware of code enforcement proceedings.
Correct. He has the ability to get that.
Our fire inspectors, they do their business tax receipt inspections. They mainly do the businesses in town, and discuss that with them. And they're accustomed to citing the violations, especially in the industrial zone districts, commercial zone districts, things like that. And we usually, they do annual inspections and new business license inspections in the year. So he's very seasoned as he gets up to that. He had a whole book of certifications.
So just before we continue, let the record reflect that Councilwoman Green has joined the dais. You have anything else, Vice Mayor? Okay, Councilman Smith.
Again, from the discussion that we had at the last council meeting about this money on the table and his position to be filled, what role is he going to be taking, or shall I say, what role is Cartwright going to be
Yes, sir. I anticipate he would be on a couple of occasions with Code Officer Cartwright. But mostly this position specifically is for daytime. And Officer Cartwright would still maintain his evening hours as he has.
Ready? Any other questions or comments as it relates to this item? Okay. Just a couple of questions. Now, you stated in terms of experience, his experience, of course, it was in fire inspections with the fire department there in Broward County. Okay, so there is no code enforcement experience on his CV? There is? Okay.
The code enforcement experience, I'm sorry for, the code, when fire inspectors come, they do building and fire. They're not just looking at fire code violations, they're looking at building code violations as well. They are not consumed with the exterior of the property in terms of high weeds or junk cars. Those are basic violations that any of us can do. The fire department does an in-depth inspection of especially businesses. And that's where you want, when you had your discussion at the last meeting, you spoke very heavily in the industrial zoning district. So, of course, they can go into residential as well. They're accustomed to multifamily residential versus single-family home. He did speak with the manager about that. And that's when you will have the mix of the current code enforcement officer, Bill Cartwright, with the proposed new code enforcement officer. But fire inspectors are accustomed to building and fire. When they go and they do everything. We rely upon them for the entire inspection, both interior and exterior for building.
Well, certainly, and that's quite okay, and certainly appreciate it. But we know that there is that component as stated as it relates to buildings and dwellings and such. However, for us as well, it extends a little beyond that as well, because we're looking at how high the grass is, abandoned cars and all of that, which probably wouldn't be part of the certification. That can be learned. So just in your interviews with him, and of course, I would assume that we don't want to make any assumptions, that he has the aptitude to grab hold of that particular aspect of it as well quickly. And
Yes, sir. We took him throughout the whole town and pointed out stuff to him as we were going by violations. And he, in his common sense, realized that, certain things were violations. So I feel like he'll pick up on that very easily.
okay. Now, when did his employment end? Is he currently working, or
He's currently a fireman with Broward County.
Okay.
He's a fireman in Broward. He's a fire inspector in Broward, and he lives in Palm Beach County, in Delray. And so he's available for up to 10 hours to 15 hours a week, whatever you deem appropriate.
And okay, and that would be during the course of the day?
Yes.
Okay. Now, just from the standpoint of vetting, and of course, all contact was made or will be made with his employer and references and all of that. And I think we do require a background. I'm sure he already has it, so, but just for our purposes and file.
It was included his current employment status as well as his certifications with the fire department.
Okay, so he submitted his. Okay, so he submitted his CV, his curriculum vitae, with all of the attachments and everything.
We only do a background check normally we don't do it with consultants, but we can do it for.
Okay.
They're interested.
Okay. Great. And when did he say he would be available to start, if selected? Immediately? Okay. All right, thanks. Well, I think those are all the only questions I have at this time. If there are other questions, Councilman Smith?
I guess, piggybacking, since we kind of looking like we're moving forward, filling in the vacancy in this guy, he seems to do since getting to work. What level did staff get this information out to the resident at the possibility of we getting this code enforcement guy? What did we know about getting it out publicly to the residents? That's something we've done later. His position into if you understand.
You're asking as far as what type of public notification?
Yeah. If if any public.
Yeah, we've had it on the website,
Okay.
with our agenda, and you've had it in your agenda packets on 2 occasions now. It's been in your manager's report a couple of times, so. As far as like door-to-door advertising or anything like that?
I'm just saying in fairness, I know you're informing staff, I should say you, the staff's informing us of what's coming down. We talked to about it, much conversation. We even talked from legal, we had Cartwright come up. But when you feel in position, this is something that the town definitely needs and money on the table. I'm just concerned that, at least the residents get an opportunity to know that what's coming up, and if they don't, let's work on kind of making sure that, hey, we got an asset, someone's coming that's gonna help the town, so that's all I'm saying on that part. And, my final question would be then, since you're gonna work on that, when I stay in my line, I focus, I know Mr. Cartwright talked about code enforcement versus solid waste authority situation. So what are we doing on that? When I say solid waste, because I don't want confusion there. We got our Broward County inspector with experience that's coming over is going to have to town. But there are some other questions that were brought out. So if that's something we can talk about later, or that's something we have an answer now?
I can address that. As far as, like waste management type issues, once it's brought to our attention, we look at it, and if it's something we feel like is a code violation, we'll pass it on to the code enforcement officer. If it's something that waste management has obviously missed, then we call them and they come back and pick it up, usually within 24 hours.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Any other questions or comments as it relates to the item being discussed, code enforcement? Okay. Hearing no other comments. If there's anything else from staff? Okay, thank you so much. I think that we've had full discussion, and the item is before us to be considered. That, of course, would be to extend an approval to Rob A. Major for the provision of additional code enforcement services during peak hours, not to exceed $7,500. Of course, this would be between 10 and 15 hours a day, per week, during the day hours. That is before you, and as it relates to that, hearing no other questions or comments, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the letter of agreement between the town of Magnolia Park and Robert A. Major for the provisions of the additional code enforcement services in our previous discussion.
Thank you so much. A motion has been made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McLeod?
No.
Councilmember Smith?
Absolutely, yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Alberto?
Yes.
It passes 4-1.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7B, and this is a discussion on the approval of code enforcement trainee position during peak hours, funded by the Palm Beach County CDBG, not to exceed $4,500 from May 1st, 2020 through September 30, 2021. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Town Council, in the same spirit that we were just talking about, this is also part of that county funding through CDBG, and we touched on this at the last meeting as well. So what we would like to do is to advertise and to get a person in, maybe not with, certification or whatnot, somebody we can train just to be extra eyes and ears out there. This individual would shadow with Officer Cartwright on occasion. They would also shadow with our new code officer as well, in addition to the manager, the clerk, and other staff members taking them out and just pointing out some stuff. So, same funding, CDBG, and it's good through the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, at $15 per hour. And this should take us up to about $4,500. I'll answer any questions that you may have. And we do not have anyone in mind. This is just permission to start recruiting.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Green?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to apologize to my fellow council people for looking at too much television. Apologize. Mr. Metcalf, okay, so this position is for a trainee. So it doesn't have to, I'm just asking council people, could we think of hiring or try to find a student, preferably a student who's maybe attending college or maybe going to Palm Beach State College. I'm thinking of a young person in this position who could have a job making some funds to put in the market that would help.
That's exactly what we have in mind. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We've spoken to one another about finding someone who's majoring maybe in building construction or something similar like to that, that would get the experience of violations in the building construction industry.
Could we probably-
A student from Palm Beach State College or FAU or Palm Beach Atlantic, but you have to approve it before you can advertise it. For the type of schools,
I didn't hear the last part. We have to,
you would have to approve the trade position before we can advertise it at those 3 schools.
do we have any students in our town attending school?
We have younger people in our town attending any of those schools.
Mhm.
I'm sure that we do. I can't.
Could we try that first? No, not saying that, not discriminating, but at least try home first before we go out. It's just my suggestion. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Smith?
Again, I don't want to be bad about or anybody. I respect everybody's profession, but we put a whole lot of conversation on to the vacancies. But it was brought up, if I'm not mistaken, last council meeting, in several council meetings before last council meeting, ordinance, code enforcement, laws and stuff like that. Need to be tweaked. And so where are we at? Because we're filling positions and we got guaranteed money, but if you're gonna put someone in a position where they're training him or her, student, Palm Beach State, FAU, Boca Raton, wherever, do we at least have or started cleaning up some of those ordinances that we need to do if we haven't, where are we at on that? So I'm excited that we're bringing integral part to the town. But just because we bring them, we need some teeth in our code ordinance and stuff. So where are we at on that?
Councilman Smith, the code enforcement officer, Mr. Cartwright, and I spoke last Wednesday about that in depth.
Yes, sir.
He would be, I was looking for him tonight, I think he may not be here, but he's going to brief council on that specifically on, I believe it's 2 ordinances in particular that he would like to see. So, there's a dialogue going on, and we'll present that to you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions as it relates to the proposed trainee position? Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Any additional comments or information from staff?
Recommend that council allow us to advertise for this position.
Thank you so much. A recommendation has come from staff that we approve the request to implement a trainee position for the purpose of a code enforcement, of course, which would be funded by the Palm Beach County CDBG grant, not to exceed $4,500. That request is before you. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the code enforcement training position as we presented tonight in accordance with our code enforcement team, and also that it can be advertised for filling immediately.
Motion has been made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell?
No.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
And Mayor Alder?
Yes.
It passes 4 to 5.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item 7C, and this is a discussion on the request for a code enforcement lien reduction regarding 1132 46th Street. Property control numbers as listed on your agenda. And this, of course, is being submitted by Rice Capital LLC. Ken?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, this item has been in your manager's report on at least a couple of occasions, and I did briefly point it up under my report at the last council meeting. The requester is here from the owner of the property, and they would like to present their request to council. Their request is to reduce the lien on this property, which totals $82,000 to $2,900. And I believe the attorney has some information as well that she would like to share.
Yes, thank you, Manager Metcalf. Before the requester gives their presentation, I just wanted to make sure that you had the information regarding the liens that are on the property before you.
They do not.
No, I just wanted to make sure they have it. I'm going to give it to them right now. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. There are 3 liens. Based on my review, there are 3 liens. I just wanted to get monetary amounts out on the table for you and remind the council, because some of these are old cases. Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask us if we had the copy of the property before us?
No, ma'am. I'm going to give you numbers right now.
Oh,
I'm going to read them to you. Sorry for the confusion. So as I pulled liens recorded against this property, there are 3 cases. The first, I'm going to give you fine amounts, and I'm going to clarify because a couple of the amounts are actually town costs, they're abatement costs. So as you consider the request before you, I just want to make sure you have the information before you. So the first case is CEV 10-63. The fine amount is $743.46. The second case is 2012-39. In that lien, there are abatement costs in the amount of $9,400 and administrative costs in the amount of $873.94. That total, just so you have it, is $10,273.94. The final case is 2012-39, and that, pursuant to the order, it was a fine of $5,000 and continuing to accrue at $250 per day until it came into compliance. The manager and the requester can speak to the compliance date, but there were also administrative costs in the amount of $175.20 that were assessed as part of that order. I just wanted to remind you that abatement costs are actual costs that the town absorbed. Those are typically not mitigated. It's certainly your pleasure tonight, your decision, but I wanted to make sure, since there was what amounts to a larger abatement, that you had that information before you. And with that, I'll answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before we have our presentation, are there any specific questions as it relates to the information shared by the attorney? Any specific questions or clarification? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So then we'll have the comments and questions thereafter, and if there's anything specific to the information shared just now. If not, then we'll just have you state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Michelle Rogers.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you speak closer to the mic, please? Take it up.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, and of course, you're here before us tonight because you're requesting a lien reduction, and the purpose for that is because, and we'll give you the floor.
So, my name is Sarah, this is property, the first property that we purchased in Palm Beach County. We are trying to expand our business from Broward and Miami into Palm Beach. We do purchase multiple properties on foreclosures and backseat auctions, so we do understand that there oftentimes are liens associated and risks associated with these properties. And we just wanted to present to you, hopefully we can find some mutual beneficial relationship where, we can take a distressed property where it has been a nuisance in the county for 10 plus years, according to the first lien that was recorded. No one was doing anything about paying those off or paying taxes on the property, or contributing anything beneficial to the community. So we had purchased the property on January 14th this year for $27,100 in a tax deed auction. And additionally, in good faith, that we would come to a mutual agreement on this, we, landscaped and we did lot clearing on the property that totaled about $3,909.30. Also in good faith that our goal with this property is to
sell it to someone that would add value to the community. We had to perform a quiet title action on the property, so we've accrued some legal costs of about $1,316. To go forward and do that, that also just, shows our good faith that our intent is to sell the property to someone that would be building on the adding value. I do understand that there are some hard costs that I was just informed of what the totals were this evening. So we didn't want our number previously to offend anyone. But we were hoping that we can come to an agreement considering that the property is only valued at around $32,771. Additional costs that we may assume if we continue to sell the property is, commissions and closing costs on it as well. So we would like to work with you guys and hopefully be able to do more business in Palm Beach County and improve the value of the community here.
Okay, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Anything else before questions or comments? Okay. Any other information prior to questions for you? Okay, all right, thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll have some questions and comments. Councilwoman Green?
I have two questions. I get more from, this is, because I haven't seen this, maybe another fellow council people have. This is my first, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen this, Mr. Mayor. And I'm getting more from, could we ask you to read, because I didn't have an opportunity to read everything that's on here. It's number one, so I really don't understand why or what caused it to be 82, whatever it is. And where is this property? The address tells me nothing. Where is it?
It's actually maybe about 5 minutes from here, so it's just a slither of commercial land that's near the.
Wait. Mr. Metcalf, where is this property?
It's on 46th Street, if you, right before the railroad tracks, Australian, close to where Councilman McConnell lives, maybe just a couple of lots before his. It's a very narrow, vacant lot.
Where the community center is?
It's near there, but no, not.
No, but it's in that facility.
It's in there.
Yeah, because I think I know where it is. That's why I wanted to be specific. And would it be, if I could ask the council people, I don't know, maybe you all are ready, if she could read this so we could really understand it, because the sections she's talking about, I have a lot of problems with a lot of, it's a bad area down there, and it needs this. And so, to be fair, I just like to know more about it, because right now, I'm not in favor of doing anything but cleaning it up, so I just like to be fair. And if I could be fair, if I know everything about it, and I didn't have a chance to read everything on here. It's just me.
Okay, anything else, Councilwoman Green?
I'm through, thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks so much. Any other questions or comments?
So we're here, we had a presentation that she's given. We identified a lot, and we're talking about reduction of that's what we're here for. Okay, that's what I'm make sure that's what we're here for. All right, go ahead.
So she's here for what, Mr. Councilman Smith?
I will repeat, she did a presentation. It's about a lien reduction on this piece of property that she purchased for $27K. And they broke it down in the areas of what the cost was for the lien grant. We heard the legal description by the attorney. So I want to make sure I'm going to take focus on what she's here for and what we're trying to do.
But what, I wanted to know her reasons for wanting us to reduce I thought that's what you were addressing, her reasons.
No.
What were her reasons?
Negative. I don't know her reasons. That's more than what you want to know her reasons, but I'm not looking at that.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay,
tell
Councilwoman
me
Green, and then
again
we'll go
why
to-
she's here. Tell me again why she wants.
She purchased a piece of property listed, let me put my reading glasses up, 111132 that Ken was describing as a small slither of land.
I misunderstood her
So she's here-
purpose, and I just wanted you to
Right, she wants
clarify
to-
for me.
Right, so she's requesting that the lien amount that is currently $82,000 be
Mm-hmm.
reduced. Her initial, and just as it relates to our conversation right now, was reduced down to $2,900. And now what we're doing is discussing that, because, excuse me, I'm sorry, the mask. The attorney shared with us what our hard costs are. Those are costs that have actually been incurred by the town. Right, and so in those costs, I was trying to add them up as I was going along, but they exceed 2,000, of course. But her request specifically is to reduce it to 2,000, a little over 2,000.
Okay, so
And I'll come right to you.
Okay, so help me. So what reasons, is she giving us reasons that we would want to reduce this, is what I'm asking?
Yes, she shared
That's what I
some.
thought. She's giving reasons for why I want to reduce. I misunderstood, Mrs. Smith.
Correct. So
Thank
we'll go
you.
back to her because she may have some additional
I
information.
just wanted to make it clear that we weren't, it wasn't under my ownership in which the liens occurred. So it was previous owners that.
Well, that was why I was questioning you. I just wanted you to tell me. I couldn't understand from you why you want me to vote to reduce the lien. And I'm telling you, I haven't heard it. And that was why I asked you if the council would patiently read it. If they don't want to read it, because I haven't read it, so I don't know why you want us to reduce the liens. This is it, right? These are the reasons, right? The attorney has on here.
That's the letter that the requester
Right,
submitted,
these
yes,
are the
ma'am.
reasons you want to, and so maybe they read it, I haven't.
Okay. Alrighty. So then, as stated, in terms of the reason you stated, are there additional reasons? Okay. So, okay, just all here. Okay. So if you would, we have a reason stated for the record, and there's additional questions. I've been trying to add them up. I haven't done the total yet. So,
I gave mine to Councilwoman Green. Can I have that back?
Sure.
Sorry, I'll give it right back to you.
You're welcome.
I can add them up if that's the pleasure of the council.
so just
you're-
while the committee is adding them up, if there are any additional questions or comments. Now, just while we're waiting for that cost, that total to come to us. Now, when you purchased the property, did you do a lien search or a title search on the property?
The liens weren't told on the search, so it's obvious that there were liens associated with the property, but they weren't reported as how high they were.
Okay. But you did do a lien search and a title search on it? Okay. Alrighty. So at the time that you did your search, I'm just curious, at the time you did your search, what was the amount, although they weren't total, what was indicated when you did your search?
So it was the $746 liens that existed, plus a $5,000 lien for the daily fine.
Okay.
So, which typically any magistrate liens like that have a daily fine, which is usually negotiable, to have the best interest of the city or county in mind.
Okay. Alrighty, so what we do is, of course, now, as we've sort of gone through and explained that there are hard costs, then I kind of saw that you sort of saw that might be a little different. So what we're looking to do here is to determine if indeed the council is going to make a decision for a reduction, that we do it properly and to ensure that at least our hard costs are covered. So we're going to see what that is, and then we'll just whatever the pleasure of the town. Just while she calculates.
I have a number for you,
It's all
sir.
there? Okay.
Please keep in mind the value of the property as well.
The total is $11,192.60. And just one correction, with all due respect, I did pull all the liens off the public record today, so they all are recorded. They are in the public record. I pulled them off there myself today. Just so the council understands. They are properly recorded liens that exist against the property.
Okay, thanks, we appreciate it. Okay. Righty, so any other questions or comments by council before we go back out to the floor if needed? Vice Mayor?
Can I just ask, what lien company did you use to do the search for the town?
We used an attorney.
What was the law firm?
It's an individual, Rational is his name. Last name. He's out of Fort Lauderdale. And we didn't say anything was recorded improperly, it's just, there's no hard cost listed, and no one lists what their hard costs are. So publicly, and then the daily fines aren't added up with the interest rate and everything as well, so. It's usually a base number and then the daily fine.
Okay.
So, my question to you
okay.
is asked by staff, for the mayor, did you do a title search and what company did you use? So, did you search it to find out what liens was on the property, or you used your attorney to come up with this?
The attorney, correct. So it's not a municipal lien search, but it's a public record search with an attorney. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
And we were aware that there was liens associated with the property.
Okay. Anything else, Councilman Smith?
So, my question then, going to live at the property and purchase it for that amount that you mentioned. You had to know there was some things that we were trying to dispute, whether there are hard houses in there, and stuff like that, it was negotiable. So, my question to you, this property looks to be real, you know, and wants to be real appealing to you for you to go forward and purchase it. So, obviously, you purchased the property for that amount. So, what made you buy it in the first place? Can you answer that?
Yeah, with the hopes of starting business in Palm Beach County, we might have been a little bit too aggressively on this one, to be honest, but, you know, we're really looking to be able to just get into this community and, you know, help improve the values of the land here, and also it's business for us as well, so, you know, hoping to just reach into this county.
Okay, I appreciate your candid answer. It's genuine. But I'll share this with you, and everybody on the dais, when I'm looking at the property, and I know that's risks out there. But with those risks out there, I either make a decision that, hey, I want this property, or this car, or this house, or maybe not. So, that's just me.
That's correct, but I mean, the further this, if no one was bidding on this property, and if there was gonna be no, new owner on the property, we just additionally, look for, it's been 12 years since anyone's paid any debts off or maintaining the property, it isn't, you know, it would just sit longer, accruing more, and making it less than valuable for anyone to purchase and turn around.
Okay.
Okay, one last question. You're saying you're looking to, obviously you're the owner of the property without the liens, and you want to sell it to, you indicate in your presentation, you want to sell it to someone that can bring value or something. What are you looking for when you do get to that point, if you get to that point? Can you answer that?
Well, Ken and I have been in touch, and I hope that we can further discuss the types of, you know, business owners that will be building there to create value to the community. But we have currently not listed, because we didn't want to list with liens and violations associated.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor, then we're going to go to Ken, unless he wants to defer. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward into our community, and even though you incurred costs for the purchase, we will make some considerations. I just wanted to inform you that in previous requests, property that has been purchased with liens on them, we have made a concession of about 35% reduction on the liens. And that amount would be in the realm of about $28,700, which is very close to what you said the property is worth. And just want to inform you on that, but I'm not sure where we will fall, close to that figure, less to that figure, or whatever, but somewhere between the cost incurred to the town and the amount that has been the customary reduction. Just so you know, we're kind of looking at that. That's where I'm looking.
Okay, all right, thank you. Other questions or comments? Let's go to Ken, if none. Ken?
Yes, just to reiterate a couple of points. Again, this property owner is not one that racked up the fines. And also, I believe they purchased it in January. Very soon after that, they contacted the town and said, what do we need to do? They immediately brought it into compliance. It looks a lot better. And this, prior to Rice owning it, This was a property we received multiple complaints about from various citizens and council members. So it looks a lot better. I believe they're trying to keep it up nice now. It is in compliance. So just to put that out.
Thank you so much. Any additional comments or questions? Amity?
Yeah, thank you, sir. If I could just make one clarification. You know this, you've gone through this before, but anything you decide tonight would be essentially settling this matter. So she has two options. She can come before the council and settle with the town, or she can go back before the magistrate. So just a reminder that this would be a settlement. The town has a standard settlement agreement that would be entered into with the requester. It would include the monetary amount and payment terms in terms of when you'd like payment. So if you could discuss those things, and then just your standard contract provisions, which, you know, you're very familiar with at this point. But if in your conversation you could discuss if you are willing to mitigate when you would like to see payment by, so that could be included in any approval you give tonight. Thank you.
Well, certainly. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Alrighty. He's seeing that there are none. Perhaps just as a discussion, as a starting point for discussion, if there's additional discussion or conversation. What we have received, of course, and as stated by the Vice Mayor, we understand and we appreciate, and that we are a welcoming town, and we're very business friendly. One of the things, however, in consideration, at least, and this is just my standpoint, would be that if we've had hard cost, then what basically has happened is that taxpayers have paid for that. And what we have to be very careful is that we don't extend that cost back to extend to a private individual or corporation or anything else, tax dollars, theoretically, is how this would work. So without confusing it all, my position would be that at a very minimum, that we do at least recover the hard cost that the town has amassed at this point, which is $11,192. I do have in front of me, and I understand your position very well, that, wow, that's half of the valuation of the property. Which last year was 32,771, and now at 27,100, as you stated. That, unfortunately, I wish we could say, yeah, we understand you're trying to move the property, you brought it into compliance, which we really appreciate. That yes, we could do the 2,900, but because of those dollars that had been expended already, that at a very minimum, we would have to recover those. If there's other questions or comments. Other questions or comments? Okay.
Are the public allowed to make questions?
I'm sorry. We'll come to you if appropriate. Right now, we're in conversation at the council level, and then we'll see if there's additional questions. Okay. All righty. So if the chair may, I'm going to go out just briefly to the public. Now, you are a member of the public, or are you associated with this?
No, not associated with this. I'm moving into the neighborhood.
Okay. Then no. No, then it would be inappropriate. Okay.
Yeah, this is my first meeting.
Oh, not a problem. Oh, pleasure meeting you as well. Oh, certainly. And we'll give you an opportunity for comments as well. Oh, thanks. We appreciate it. Okay. So with that, any additional comments or questions on the part of council? Okay. Any additional comments, information from staff? Okay. From the applicant? Okay. Thanks so much. So seeing that we've had full discussion, what we do have before us is a situation where we have before us a request to have the lien amount that is currently $82,000 reduced at property 1132 46th Street. Property control numbers as indicated on the agenda from $82,000 to $2,900. Information provided by our attorney was that the actual amount of dollars or money expended thus far on the part of the town was $11,192.20, was it?
60 cents.
50 cents. Okay.
I'm sorry, let me take the mask off. 0.60.
0.60, the mask.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
Okay, thanks so much. So that is the information. So with that, what is your pleasure? Okay, a motion, please.
Well, in the position of making sure our costs are covered and some consideration given for the variance between what the amount of lien is and the amount requested, I would make a recommendation that we, grant a request of a reduction to in the range of, $20,000. In that range. Could you consider that discussion among ourselves?
Okay, Vice Mayor has put a proposal out for discussion or discussion. Council? Okay. Seeing that there's no additional discussion, you have anything else as it relates to?
That would bring it down to 62.
No,
Is
I'm
that-
saying that we would allow a reduction to the amount in the range of 20,000
From 82.
from, because the previously agreed upon reduction amount that we kind of said was a 35%, that would bring it down to 28,700. So instead of forcing that 28,700, I would make a concession to 20,000.
Okay. Alrighty, there's a suggestion, recommendation to be discussed. Councilman McConnell?
Well, I don't think there was much of, on the owner's part, to look into because it's a 50-foot lot, it's 160 feet deep. Maybe a little more than that. And at this time, with the new codes, you'd have a hard time building anything on that lot. So really, I just don't think there was enough due diligence on the buyer's part to check on a lot before they purchased it. So that's, $60-some thousand. The town's gonna lose.
Anything else?
That's my feelings on it.
Okay. Any other conversations or comments? Okay.
The journey started with you, Mr. Mayor, mentioning that we're covering the hard number costs. So that was thrown out. Then Vice Mayor came up with a figure based on that 35%. We had to try to read out what was the actual amount that was out there flowing. So where do we go from here?
Okay. Question? Here's, just in a nutshell, here's what we have. We have a situation where the actual amount incurred, right, or daily fees that has driven the actual amount to 82,000, right? And those are just fees that are assessed because it was out of compliance for a long period of time. And so the previous owner didn't bring it into compliance. And so when the current owner came and purchased it, and of course, as we stated in terms of due diligence, okay, you're comfortable? Okay, yeah, we'll wrap it up. We'll want you to be uncomfortable. Okay, ready? And so yes, we do understand in terms of the due diligence required on the part of the purchaser of any properties. That being, of course, to do the lien search, title search, and any other related searches. However, the 82,000 is, I think, is a bit exorbitant for a piece of property that's worth 1/4 of that, roughly, which is $27,000. I would probably be in a different position, and this is just information, that if this was the owner from the very first point time that the fees started, the assessment happened, and then all of the fees accumulated, and the owner did nothing, that would be weighted. This particular owner came in, and we don't hold anyone guilty or harmless or anything else because they buy and flip. That determination here. So in short, because we have a piece of property and we have the property appraisals information here, and it's valued at $27,000. I think that if we do anything around 20, 30, or whatever, it just makes trying to get that piece of property up to the point where somebody else would come in and purchase it and develop it or do something to it and improve the value of it, makes it that much less possible. Because I don't think anybody would come in. If I bought the property and I had to pay $25,000 or $20,000 in fees, I'm going to try and sell the property. If I'm in the business of selling properties and making money, I'm going to try and at least get my money back. The $27,000 I paid for it, plus the $25,000 that I had to pay in fees, and no one's going to pay $52,000 for that piece of property. So here's where I am in short. I'm just my position is that we recover the hard costs. The current owner has made every effort to bring it into compliance. Those other fees or paper fees we attached because it was out of compliance. This is not the previous owner where the fees were being accumulated, rather new owner. If we want to split hairs, and I don't have very many, we can start from January, okay, and start adding that up, which I wouldn't even recommend. So my position, of course, and it's just one position, would be that we recover the hard cost of $11,192.60.
Yes, sir.
60 cents. 60 cents. Okay. Other discussion, comments, recommendations?
What did you say it was?
Our actual cost is $11,192.60. And it's difficult with the mask. Our apologies. And for those who are listening as well, our apologies. Additional comments or questions?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
All right, so you built that math out there last night. I got that. I got that memo. Just say hypothetically go forward and recover this 11,000 hard costs. How really good the payment thing can? Will it be a lump sum, multiple payments? That's too far to even discuss. If we go forward and try to recover this 11,000 that we're talking about, and it's how the payment aspect will be paid in full.
If I could answer that, sir, yes. Typically, the settlement agreements that you enter into are one-time payments, typically within 30 days is the settlement agreement. Keep in mind that the requester would have to agree this is settlement, so it's a mutual agreement of the parties. So, but typically 30 days, that's the typical way. And all at once, lump sum, no payments. That's too hard for the town to track.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions? And just while we're considering, at this point in time, if indeed the council approves 11-19260, then theoretically, the purchaser would have actually paid $38,292 for a $27,000 piece of property. That would be the reality for the purchaser, but for us, our reality is that the hard cost was this. Okay, the 11-9260. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. If there's a motion, we'll entertain a motion.
We collect the hard cost, which is 7,000.
11,192.60.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Now, your motion is going to include as well as a time, normally 30 days is given, or 30 days, but however, whatever your motion is, 60 days, 90 days, if you'll include it in your motion.
Since it's typical, one payment, we're being so many in 30 days, I think 30 days is adequate. Of the cost.
Okay. There's a motion that we reduce the cost, reduce the fees of $82,000 down to $11,192.60 to be paid in 30 days. That's the motion on the table.
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there additional questions on the motion? Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
No.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
No.
Mayor Alden.
Yes.
Passes 3-2.
Thank you so much, and we wish we could go to 29, but, okay, as explained.
I appreciate you.
Certainly, okay. And welcome to Mangonia Park. We're nice and friendly. Okay. And you have a great evening.
Just make sure, Manager Metcalf, you have her email? Okay, we'll get with you tomorrow. I'll get with you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, our next order of business, of course, and we've considered all of the action items, and we'll now go to our reports. Mitty?
Nothing specific for you, sir, thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. Okay. Woods, you have anything for us?
Nothing more than what was reported, sir.
Okay, I submitted. Any questions for PBSO? Okay, Councilman Smith?
One up there, sir.
Thank you.
I'm doing well, I'm hoping you're doing well.
Doing well, yes.
Just out of curiosity, Sunday was an interesting time in my life. Sunday morning, I experienced some young kids walking unattended by adults, so I made a call, and you guys responded. Upon making a call, he was able to get the young girl that was walking in Bryn Mawr unattended by adult supervision. The second officer discovers it was a kid, a boy, also, that we found later was related. So my question is, we getting a lot, yesterday I was home on Monday, doing some things around the house, and another detective officer knocked on my door about a missing teen, 16. So what is going on with the missing teens and kids? Because that's happening in real time.
I know there was a missing child that has been recovered from the Bryn Mawr area, and that was the girl you're
Referring to.
Since she's a juvenile officer, I'll just share brief information. She was recovered at another location.
Good.
Outside of the city.
Yeah, so that's good to know. So that would work now.
Right.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Okay.
I'd just like to ask the captain a question. I think it's appropriate for... I think the question would be appropriate to go to him. Thank you, Captain. It's just a matter of protocol and education for me, because I don't have any experience at all in law. But I hope this question is not inappropriate. I didn't hear about the child until 2 or 3 hours ago. I don't know when she was missing, but the information came to me from a resident. And then I find out that, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think our staff knew. So you tell me as the captain, should we not, if something like that happens in our little town, should at least the mayor or the council should be made aware? If not, it doesn't hurt my feelings, I'm just asking. If a child is missing, whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, whenever, I'm just thinking, should at least the town manager or the staff, or we should not be notified at all? I mean, it's a matter of information. I'm just asking you. Yes or no doesn't bother me.
Well, generally, as a matter of public concern, if a child goes missing, depending on the criteria, we'll issue what is called an Amber Alert. And those things go through the TV, through your cell phone.
No, that's not.
Well, I feel I understand what you're getting at.
So then we shouldn't be notified at all until the Amber Alert goes out. I think you just answered my question. Okay.
The public is made aware.
Okay, that's all. That's all I need to know.
Okay, Councilman Smith?
Yes, sir.
I do know on this Sunday, it was early, and I had to be somewhere early, it was 7:30, so it was quite early. Michelle and Julian was walking dog, and another neighbor was walking. I do know for sure that they were knocking on doors, and that's kind of why that, I believe they were successful in recovering and finding out where the little girl and boy belonged. So they definitely knocked doors, went door to door, knocking on people's doors. I don't know about the extent of the 16-year-old, even though I know that she was in another city. They knocked on my door. They were in PSO, showed me a picture, you notice warehouses, like, so they did their job. Did they knock on everybody in the community door? I don't know that, but they did do that.
Well, I will say this, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and any law enforcement
Yes,
agency
sir.
takes a missing child very, very serious.
Yes, sir.
And time is up, yes, so yes, we'll get as many deputies here as quickly as possible. Yes, we will canvass the area, we'll try to get the information out as quickly as possible, we'll do everything. Air search, to door-to-door search,
Amen.
K9, even bloodhounds, and we will try to get the word out to the community at large, ASAP.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councilman.
Councilman Smith, I want to do a follow-up with what you're saying, so I won't be misunderstood. And with the captain also. Let me start over. If a child is missing in the town of Mangonia Park, and that child, Mr. Smith, could tell me, and the other council members, I like to hear from them also, because I may be out of place, and I want to know, because it's sensitive with me. If a child is missing on a Monday, I think right away, even if we are not, the town manager should be notified. That's why I'm asking. You know, it had nothing to do with, well, anyway. And the mayor, even if not the council. That's all I'm saying. Should they, once you find out a child is missing, I don't want to hear it from a neighbor. I want to hear it from you. Is all I'm saying. And is anything wrong with that? I'd like to hear from the council people. If not, then we let it ride. So Councilman Smith, maybe you can go on.
I get your point. I don't know all protocols, so I'm not making excuses.
Me either.
I get your point loud and clear. So if there's a process, I don't know what it may be.
Me either.
And so I leave that to the party that make those decisions. But I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Ms. Reed.
I think it's just a concern and a protocol. Even if the mayor, even if you don't tell us, I think captain, mayor, town manager.
If there is time. The priority is to get the information out. The priority is to get with the public, including the mayor and the town manager, through means such as reverse 911, through Amber Alerts, through text messages. You know, at that point, there's a mass alert that goes out. I do not take the time out to say, okay, well, I'm going to call the mayor, but the child is missing. Now, if something happens more serious, if there's a homicide, if there's a serious crash, the town manager is alerted and the mayor is alerted. But if a child is missing and the time is up to essence, so the idea is to get as much information out to as many people as possible in order to recover that child.
Okay, well, let me see if I can rephrase the question, because in terms of just notification to everybody in town would be a great thing, right? That from something, you know, flyer, this child is missing, so that it just spreads through the community. That would be a great thing. However, just briefly explain to us in terms of just standard operating procedures in a situation like this. The PBSO is alerted that a child is missing here in Mangonia Park. You immediately begin to, and we'll let you explain.
Initially start an investigation, start search from where the child's last seen, work our way back. We want to canvass the area, try to contact as many people that may have seen the child, any witnesses, any family members, anyone who may have any information where the child may have gone, who the child may have been with. Depending on the information we get, it may meet the criteria of putting out an Amber Alert. We may also use reverse 911, which means we will be calling various houses and residences within the given area, let you know that there's a missing child. We also have bloodhounds. We also have our helicopters, and we will bring in ground units to cordon off the area or lock it down and try to find, depending on the time delay in the search to find that child. Time is of the essence. Getting the information out is important. So whether it's to you, whether it's to the public, the main idea is to get as much information out as much as possible, because when you're dealing with a missing child, every minute that goes by, that increases the likelihood that we will not find the child alive.
Right. But now, so the SOPs don't require that, and we're just speaking since our law enforcement, our LEA is the PBSO, do not require you to go door to door notifying every person in the town, right, that a child is missing.
No. Depending on if it's a 2-year-old child that may have wandered off to a neighbor, yes, we may go door to door knocking on it through. But if it's a child that may have been abducted in a car, we want to get the tag number, we want to know who that person was with, and it depends on every circumstances you need. But they all equate to the same thing. Get the information out, get the child found, and recover the child safe.
Well, certainly, and of course, the import of my questions was simply this, in terms of there's always a wish list regarding everything. There's a wish list, but what is the requirement? And so we wanted to know what the requirement is in terms of the PBSO, and you shared that. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Councilwoman Green?
I just want to end it this way, Captain. Let me say it one time. My question to you had absolutely nothing to do with notification. Nothing. Mine was only protocol. That's why I keep saying, you, here and there. Protocol. It has nothing else to do with anything else.
Okay. Martin, Vice Mayor?
I'm through.
I understand, Captain, your description of the exhaustive measures that are taken and a report that will come out. Is there any estimated amount of time from the time you receive your report when the Amber Alert will be made to the whole community to be made aware?
That as soon as we can acquire the information, that meets the criteria, we get that information out to the
I think it's very good that we have the technology that will enhance our efforts to get the message out to everyone in the community so that eyes can be made aware, all of the community, of this missing child missing situation. Or adult, because it's an adult suicide. For the missing individual situation. The faster and broader the information is spread, the better.
And I'm glad you brought that up. We do have a protocol as well for folks that are elderly, what we call, that's a silver alert, and if there's a person that may be suffering from some type of
dementia or
defect,
something.
mentally or cognizant, we have protocols in place for that as well. And the Sheriff's Office has been at the forefront of employing new technology to Operation Lifesaver and other such programs to ensure the fast and safe recovery of our elderly residents as well.
Okay. Well, certainly, and I think with modern technology, the quickest way, and we get those Amber Alerts, they come right away, faster than knocking on a door or anything else. So it happens almost instantaneously once you get that information. So I appreciate it. Councilman Smith and Councilman McConnell, then we'll.
Yeah, I just want to personally thank the job that was done, and I think time was of essence. I gave a description in the 911 call. Based on information, my wife jumped in the car. They kind of kept the girl. She kept on the pad on the pads. And so she kept bulging. But I want to thank the deputy because they really did their job by knocking on doors. They went on the back street. They saw an open door. So it kind of filled the pieces of the puzzle. So I'm satisfied. So let them know that. I didn't have time to tell them that. Please let them know that job well done.
I will make sure that gets done.
Councilman Smith and then Councilwoman Green. I'm sorry, Councilman McConnell and then Councilwoman Green.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I know if the town manager knows of anything, I assume he lets all of us, he texts all of us. I get them all the time on things that's going on. Of course, he don't know everything. He's not out there like Rodney and his men. But, I mean, and you get the Amber Alerts, I mean, what else do? If I find somebody on my street, I would call the sheriff's office. You know, wandering around, didn't know where they were or what have you, I would call the sheriff's office.
Okay, okay. Councilman Green, and we'll wrap
I'm going
up.
to ask one question and end it with a note. I made the mistake when was the child missing? Yesterday? Did-
Yeah, Sunday.
When?
Sunday. Yeah, so we can't get too far into details.
When?
That happened over the weekend.
Over the weekend. Correct me, Mr. Metcalf, did you know today?
I knew today after you called town hall and spoke to one of the deputies.
That's all I needed to know. Now you see why I asked the question. I just want to make sure, Mrs. Smith, that we were on the same page. I'll leave that, and no, you understand now. You said Mr. Metcalf knew he did not.
Was there-
And I'm in the conversation. And let me tell you what happened to me. I've been wearing a life alert, Captain, for 5 years because I live alone. They got police officers. My other one was old, so they upgraded me, Mayor, and I got a new one that I wear on my arm. I accidentally matched it about 2 weeks ago. Guess what? They came and they passed me. They couldn't find me. West Palm Beach Police, the paramedics couldn't find me. You know why? We have no street lights. They couldn't see the mailbox. They couldn't see my address. Since I thought of that, Mr. Mayor, so, Mr. Town Manager, we need street lights. So, anyway, I'm satisfied. Thank you, Captain.
Roddy? Now, since the public part of the information that we can discuss, was there an Amber Alert sent in this situation? Okay, okay. All righty. Okay, so if there's any other questions for
Let me just.
PBSO?
Just one more thing, just to make sure I make myself very clear. There are certain things that we will notify the town manager immediately about. There are certain things that we will not, depending on
Thank you. I just want to
the
correct you.
seriousness of the situation, or the immediate public safety, or the immediate need to know. We will let the town manager know. Like, if we're doing a raid or something to that, he does not know anything until after everything is done and after everything is tallied. There are certain things that I may not know about until it's happened. And then once everything's clear, then I will let the town manager know. But there are some things that you might not get from me that is not an intent to be disrespectful, but at that point, it probably is not ready to be released. But if it is something that's significant and should be released, I make every effort to make sure the town manager knows. If I don't, then Sergeant will.
Well, certainly. All righty. Councilman Smith?
Well, Captain, I see your passion. You take your job very serious.
Yes, he
As
does.
you have to. So, with that being said, I have a suggestion that may help everybody in the council. Can you issue us some bullhorns? We can throw down, we can just follow things up and wake the whole neighborhood up. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate you, really do.
But I do have a better suggestion.
Not a problem.
Join the COP. That way, if you have volunteers on patrol,
Yes.
that you get firsthand information.
Absolutely.
You're that extra eyes on the road. You are
We-
the stand between us and the public. So
Yeah,
You're in the know.
okay, we understand that you.
Well, all I have to
that you-
say is
Last time you
just-
stepped on some people's toes and you stepped on toes, so we got it. Okay, we gotta get that going.
All I say is just let the captain and the mayor know.
No, so.
Did you hear me?
Right.
I'd just like to make a suggestion to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to make a suggestion to the council. If, I don't know whether they want it or not, and I will say this in front of the captain. And I believe in protocol, and I'll say it again. I don't care if I don't know. I just think that the captain and the mayor and the town manager should know. And I'll stick with that, Captain. You know how much I respect you, and that's only me.
Okay, so I'll wrap it up real quick, so that, I don't allow, Rodney and Woods to walk away without saying this. If there is a need to know, I'm notified, Ken is notified. One of the things that we clearly understand is that they can't share information if it's going to jeopardize the integrity of the investigations. There are some things that happens that we won't know, and I don't want to know. Even if I could, I don't want to know until, as he stated, it's ready for public consumption. And so I respect that and understand. So if I'm not notified, I'm not offended because I realize the sensitivity of it and it's not ready to be released yet. So I understand. Okay, so Councilwoman Green's going to
No, I
close
just
this
made
out.
sure I understood you. You said you don't want to know?
No. I said what happens if there is a need to know, then they will share. The captain calls and he'll share information just depending upon the nature of it. If it's something, an investigation going for it, because we're not law enforcement, right? We can't practice law or anything like that. So if it's going to jeopardize the integrity of one of their investigations, they're not going to share that information, and they shouldn't because they're violating their own protocol. So I don't want to know that, is what I'm saying, right? I won't know it anyway because they're not going to share it because that's the rule, and I respect that rule. So that's what I was saying.
I'd just like to, I just want to share with the mayor what happened to me, the reason this conversation is prolonged and the reason it came up, because I embarrassed myself today. A neighbor on the street called me and asked me about it. See the quiet here? That's how I sounded when she asked me the question, Captain. I absolutely knew nothing she was talking about. As a council person, Mayor, what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called the council and the office, and they asked me, what are you talking about? And so I want my fellow council people to put yourself in my shoes. That is what happened to me today. So you all think about it. That's all I said, Captain. That happened to me today, and I knew nothing, and so I did what I, as a council person, was supposed to do. And I'm praying to God that it was not a reporter that called me and asked me that. So I hope you understand now, Mayor, why I said protocol.
Oh, absolutely.
That was why I brought it up. It won't be brought up again.
Oh, absolutely, and so noted. Definitely understand
Right to
why.
the why.
Right, but then too, I think what Rodney has also indicated is that, and what they can't say even in this case, if there's some ongoing investigations and so forth, that they're not going to say anything. They can't, then they can't. Right, and so sometimes we're not in the know because of that. Councilman O'Connell, then we'll wrap up with this section.
I just want to ask Rodney one thing. If we need to know, you'll let us know. That's all I need to know.
Okay, well, thanks so much. So we've had enough on law enforcement. We're full. We've had a full discussion with that. Okay, thanks. We appreciate it, Captain, and thanks so much, Sergeant. Okay, so we're going to go now to Ken. Your turn to get beat up, Ken. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate all considerations. Want to just, before I get into my report, I do have a 91-page report to read.
Can you break it down to 91? Cliff notes.
I think the captain would attest that we've had a pretty good relationship and very open, and he does call me. I've had some of those 5:30 a.m. calls on Sunday morning, and I want council to know from my perspective, I have two desires in my life, two. One is to get to heaven one day.
I knew that was
And the other is to make sure my town council is informed. If I don't do anything else in my life, those two things, I'm gonna do my best. to do.
Information is, there you
So
go.
typically, Councilman McConnell was correct. If the captain calls me and says, this is what's happened, he'll typically say, this is not to go anywhere just yet, giving you a heads up. But if it's something that's in public, I'm gonna send it out to all of you pretty immediately. And typically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it by text message, because if I call each one of you is gonna have questions that, number one, I can't answer, and number two, while I'm talking to you, other council members are not being informed. So it is gonna be by text message most of the time. Now, if it's a shooting, I'll probably be calling you right off that. I digress on that. Just to update everyone, that the charter school that's been talked about by Gulfstream Goodwill, they're gearing up. I know they're going to be filling out their, if they didn't already today, their business tax receipt application. I'm assuming that's going to start in the fall, maybe earlier. If council desires, I can have them come in and do a soft presentation at some point, so you can find out more about that. The sewer hookup in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood continues to go well. That should be winding up by the end of the month, or just a little bit into May. Let everyone know that we've had some really good discussions recently with the city of West Palm Beach in regard to fire services agreement and the possibility of utility hookups. So I'll keep you informed on that as we keep moving, but we are moving in a very positive direction with the city of West Palm Beach. Finally, two points. I really want to thank our staff, and they don't need me to do this. I know that for public notification, our staff does an amazing job with customer service. We've got a very caring staff. I'm talking about admin and utilities and public works. They go out of their way to help the citizens, and I'm just really proud of that. How many times have you heard, people come up here for development applications and they say, you've just got the best, friendliest staff. So I want to thank them and not take that for granted. And in that same spirit, I want to really thank our outstanding consultants. They put up with a lot of stuff behind the scenes that, we couldn't talk about in Sunday school. But they do a good job. There's some of these things on conference calls that gets heated, and always they maintain the highest level of professionalism. And I'll talk about Van, Mitty, Nilsa, David Sandbog, Water and Sewer, just the highest professionalism that you could have. So I want to thank them as well. And I want to thank Town Council again for your time tonight. I really enjoyed being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. Is there any questions as it relates to Ken's report? Information shared? Questions? Okay. If not, then we'll go right to council comments. Councilwoman Green? All righty. Councilmember Smith?
Everybody stay safe.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Okay. That'd be
I'd like to get this one
May
over
4th? Okay. All right, so May 4th, the next meeting. Councilman McConnell?
Same thing. We're still in a pandemic. Everybody needs to take care. Don't leave your guard down. I understand there's some new strains coming.
2 of them.
So
2 do it.
just be safe.
Amen.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Vice Mayor?
All is well, stay safe.
Okay. Thank you so much. And the only thing I have is an information we're hoping is going to go out. We're looking to have a vaccine clinic take place on this coming Sunday. I always say next. It is the next Sunday, the 25th. This is just tentative information. We're trying to sort of massage that and make it happen through an organization. We'll get information out if indeed it's going to come to fruition next Sunday. Working with Ken and another outside entity to try and make that happen. Just wanted to kind of get information to you. So We don't want to be premature, but feel free to let your neighbors know that we are working on trying to get a clinic here in Mangonia Park in order to administer the COVID-19 shots. Okay? Righty, and that's just information at this time. And Ken will follow up with everybody as we proceed. Okay? Right, that was the only thing I had. If there's nothing else for the good of the order,
So will we adjourn?
is there a
Second.
second? Has been properly moved and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Tell me what he said.
It is carried. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the 4th. What's that, 4th? May 4th. Okay. Everybody have a good afternoon and stay safe.